2 belts. Sometimes I want 3, sometimes I want 4. Or you can say you want 50 million and 60 million and have no belts. Fuck a belt, because they collect this. I don't know what my belt's at. I don't know what my belt's at. I know what them checks at.
The truth is, we've been talking to the PBC people all along. So we'll absolutely resume conversations next week after this fight, assuming Tank is successful on Saturday. But again, it won't be like the start of negotiations. We've been talking, or Carl Moretti has been talking with Louis DeCubas for a couple of weeks now about that fight, and hopefully we'll put it together expeditiously for sometime in November.
Great fighters that you can take on next, including maybe Lomachenko. Interested in that fight? November,
for sure.
Talked about?
Yeah, for sure. As long as we go back to the drawing board, and I wanted to fight all of them.
Tank Davis called
that line on social media.
Oh, he called them on social media? Well,
that's easy to do, right? Social media, I can call out Mike Tyson.
That huge fight, they think it'll be Lomachenko. Do you think that will be the huge fight for you?
There's no rush, Tank. Your job is to continue to go out there and do what you're doing. You making the same money Lomachenko is making. And guess what? Tank didn't have to go to the Olympics. Tank didn't have to fight 300 amateur fights. Tank didn't have to fight 400 amateur fights. Tank gonna go out there and get the job done. This right here, he's the real one in boxing. He's the truth. We don't care about that. We don't want to hear about that. Tank is the champion. It's his night. Give him his credit. Just like when all these other fighters go out there and was fighting all these years, y'all didn't want to give me my credit.
Tank is the face. He ain't turning down no work. Don't want it from us. We here. Want it from them. Who's brave enough to step up? I respect Mark for stepping up with 17 fights. And you got guys out there, world champions, that ain't gonna do that shit. They're not gonna do it. They manager ain't gonna let them do it. They promoter ain't gonna let them do it. Because they say, fuck no, you crazy? But I'll take my hats off to Mark. He got in there. Take my hats off to Ryan Garcia. He got in there. Take my hats off to Rolly. He got in there. Take my hats off to the ones that got in there.
You know, I feel like
the real ones.
I feel like all these fights, they just go.
Tank ain't fight nobody. Tank ain't fight nobody. If you somebody, get your ass in that bitch.
That's heavy. That's heavy. So what do you think about that fight? What do you think about, Tank and Lomachenko?
Lomachenko beats the shit out of him for 9 rounds and then just gets caught with something ugly and goes to bed.
Wow.
Tank is a monster, boy. Tank, telling you. People think, he's losing rounds. I'm telling you, he's gaining rounds.
What's going on, boxing fans? It's your boy DC Boxing TV, and we back with another motherfucking video. Loma Chicken, Lomachenko, Loma Duck, whatever the you want to call him, you's a duck, my boy. You don't want none of Tank Davis. All this talking about you want to hunt him down. Tank ain't like that. Floyd Mayweather hiding him from the real fighters and all that bullshit. You out here beating up people like Cambosis, but when Tank Davis step up in that motherfucking paint, all of a sudden now you want to duck. Now we got to be found with Shakur Stevenson and all these other bandwagon ass wannabe fighters that want a piece of Tank Davis, GTD, whatever the fuck you want to call it, but they don't stand a chance. We taking over everything. Do you hear me? Everything. Now this video is unlike other because I ain't never seen a fighter of the caliber of Lomachenko duck another fighter like this. Some would say yes, you have had other fighters that duck like this. What about Canelo Alvarez against David Benavidez? Even though that's a fight that we'll never fucking get because we already know Coloma, I didn't call him Coloma, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what? That's what I'm about to start calling you too much. Coloma. Coloma stands for Canelo and Lomachenko. Coloma. Coloma. That's a new word. I'm about to probably copyright it. Coloma. I didn't call Coloma because you are the two biggest ducks in the sport of boxing, all because you guys don't want to lose. Now, Lomachenko, you went against Devin Haney. Now, I know that ass whooping probably still sitting on your brain to this day. Yeah, I know it probably hurt your feelings, but it ain't nothing we can do about that loss. You lost, suck it up, get back in the ring, and get your ass knocked out again. But this time it'll be by Gervonta Tank Davis. It won't be by none other. You got your ass knocked out by Linares. You know what I'm saying? This ain't gonna be one of them punches. You gonna get your ass hit with one of them bazookas from Tank Bazooka Davis. Now, I suggest any of you other guys just stand down and wait until the smoke clear. Because before you start throwing your name out there saying you want a piece of this nigga and saying you want to fight, and think about your career, think about your longevity, and think about how long you got in the game. Because when you get your ass in the ring with Tank Davis, best believe it's gonna be a whole nother dynamic that you gonna be having to deal with. You ain't just getting up in there with no counter puncher. You ain't just getting up in there with no guy that can just work the ring. You ain't getting up in there with no guy that ain't scared of his opponent, that'll walk his opponent down and take punches through the crevices. You getting up in there with an all-around fighter, A+ fighter, and depend on how big of a fight that Tank Davis take it into consideration, you might not make it out the mother ring. So all you guys, you know, let's call it what it is, man. Coloma, Loma Chicken. Now Shakur Stevenson, we done heard the backlash and all the bullshit you got going on in accolades. Cut with the tough talk, my boy. You ain't on none of that. We ain't worried about none of that. And when it's time to get up in there and get tested, whether you give up a good fight or not, you will be knocked the out. I speak for him. So yeah, man, I know this video is different than none other, but it is what it is, man. It's your boy DC Boxing TV, and we are out until the next round.
Tell everybody to stay on that side when they switched up. You switched up, stay on that side, man.